This video does not apply to countries in which college is reasonably priced. This is from an American perspective. If you live somewhere in which there isn't a crippling downside to entering university, such as America's get fucked stance on educational costs, you can click off this video. Unless you just want to sit there and feel superior about your country, I guess. At least we have Windows screens, assholes. Have fun swatting flies with all that money you're saving. This also does not apply if you're entering a STEM field, unless you're someone like me who thought they wanted to do that only to realize they really didn't after one semester. But if you think it's for you, then I encourage you to pursue it. Just don't be afraid to change course after a semester or two if you realize you hate it. And lastly, this also does not apply to anyone pursuing a position in which a degree is absolutely mandatory, such as aforementioned STEM fields, anything medical, etc. That should be fairly obvious. But for everyone else out there, feel free to listen on. I realize with a video like this that I have the potential of taking on way more responsibility than I'd like for other people's futures. So I want to make it as clear as possible that I'm not trying to tell you what choice to make, I'm merely reminding you that the choice exists to begin with. Much of society considers going to college to be an expected thing, like it's just something pretty much everyone does once they're done with school, but it really isn't for everyone. Okay, so here's a brief story of my life. When I was a kid, people asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, astronaut. And then at some point I realized, that's probably a little bit hard to do. And then I got to that point that pretty much everyone gets to where they're like, wow, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. But then I played a video game called Portal 2, which features, spoiler alert, a storyline in which a character has their mind uploaded into a robot and they get to live forever. And I was like, wow, that seems like the most important thing that could ever happen to humans. I want to make that happen. And for the next few years of my life, as I was going through high school, I had that idea in my head that, okay, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna be a scientist, I'm gonna work on brain-machine interfaces, I'm gonna make this happen, I'm gonna be one of the people to try and make this happen. I'm gonna join a team of cool, smart guys, and we're gonna do it. And I finally got to college. I sat in there for one whole semester. I took they had a degree called engineering science, which is like science and engineering, which was kind of important because that whole idea is kind of where like technology meets brain sciences, and so I was like, okay, I'll do this. So I took on a couple courses that were necessary for that. One of which was calculus. Did not have fun. And another was some like engineering design class, which is just an absolute chore. And it was like, I came to realize, I don't think it's that those classes were so bad that they were poisoning my idea of what science was. I think it's more that I started to think about like what science actually is beyond a surface level. I was absolutely one of those people who would watch YouTube videos about science, like Michio Kaku, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all those cool guys that present science to a general audience who isn't actually like deep into all that stuff and like doing the actual work. And I was like, oh my god, this is all so cool. And then once I actually got a taste of what it would actually be like to sort of sit down and do all that stuff, I was like, this isn't very fun. At least not for me, which was surprising because I'd always been a very like left brain style, I'm so good at math and I love being logical kind of person, but I just, Naturally, I was faced with a dilemma. I had to figure out what I wanted to do with myself because my entire world had kind of just been turned upside down. And I remembered, wait, I've been an artist for like the past several years of my life, and I enjoy doing that stuff. Maybe I should just be an artist. And I was like, alright, okay, next semester, switching my major. I'm gonna go into an arts thing, specifically applied arts, because fine arts is not really my scene. So I went and I did some gen eds and stuff. I had like one art class, I think, that was actually kind of fine art focused. But halfway through that semester, I sort of, I had this moment where I was like, You know when there's something really important that you're just not paying attention to at all? Something that, like, you know deep down you really should be facing, but you know that it would kind of flip your entire world upside down were you to actually address it? That happened twice to me in college. The first was my realization that engineering and science was not for me. The second was that college costs money. Like, a lot of money. So I did a little bit of math. I was about $5,000 in debt at that point, but I was going to a cheaper offshoot campus of Penn State, and in order to actually finish that degree, I would have to go to the main campus, which, for one, has a higher tuition, and for two, was not within driving distance of my house. So I added the costs of tuition and the 3 years of food and lodging and all that stuff that it would have taken me based on the calculations they offer. And like, this is me calculating like relatively conservatively. I was obviously interested in finding the cheapest options I have available. And I realized I would probably be paying somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 for a 4-year degree. And you may be tempted to say, but Mako, surely you must have had the cognitive capabilities to perhaps earn a scholarship. First of all, that is very generous of you to assume I have any intellect. Second of all, I was an honors student. I got an A in every single class in my second semester. I was the #1 student in terms of points in one of my admittedly pointless gen ed classes. The only blemish on my college record was the C- I got in my first semester's calculus class, which I had to do despite somehow getting through high school without ever taking a trigonometry or pre-algebra class. So I was kind of just forced to figure all that stuff out on my own, and with the help of khanacademy.org. I still don't know how the hell I managed to do that. My point is, I already had, I had government support for being poor. I had, at least 1 or 2 scholarships. I was an honor student. I was getting, additional monetary help from that. It still would have been $40,000 or $50,000. And I essentially sat there and looked at what I was actually purchasing with that money. I looked at the outline for the major and all the stuff that I would eventually be doing throughout the years. I saw some really cool stuff on there. It was like, there are things focused on how to actually improve your technical capabilities at art, not just the basic sort of fine arts. Here, just draw something creative enough to do this. It doesn't matter if you're good at drawing or not, sort of stuff that I had done that semester. $40,000. I think I saw at least one course that involved 3D modeling, which I was really interested in as an aspiring game developer. $40,000. And I had a minor planned out too with music technology something or other, which I'm also very interested in considering I'm a musician. It all sounded really cool. $40,000. I would get to actually formally learn all this stuff that I've been doing with my life. I'd be in an academic environment in which I would be forced to have discipline to even get through it properly. I'd learn how to actually be responsible with my art. $40,000. Wait a second. I already know how to do all that stuff. I'm already an artist. I don't need to go to college to learn how to become one. I already know how to play instruments and compose music. I've done it already. I can keep doing it. I'll keep getting better at it. I'm not paying $40,000 to learn how to do stuff I'm already learning to do. Here's the truth. You don't need to go to college to learn skills. I remember one of my professors saying something that I almost couldn't believe I was hearing. He taught a class on communications, which is literally just learning how to talk to people. It had a high focus on group activities and was pretty much just a test to see if you were capable of functioning like a basic human when working with other people. It was one of the most agonizing academic experiences of my life. Anyway, the professor once said to the class something along the lines of, you don't go to college to learn a specific skill, you go to college to learn common sense. And it's like, Well, fuck me, I guess I don't have common sense considering I willingly signed up for this course. Another professor of mine emphasized that college's primary goal is to make you a well-rounded, interesting person, and to force you to experience things you might not have otherwise thought to look into, not to just let you study what you already know you wanted to study. I should mention he was also a teacher of one of the many gen ed courses students were forced to pay for in order to get to the degree that they were actually interested in, so make of that what you will. Look, I'm sure there are people who would benefit from those sorts of things. Common sense is not something everyone necessarily has. And sure, maybe there are some people who would benefit from being forced to look into things that they were otherwise ignoring. Maybe they'll find a new hobby they're interested in, maybe even find a new career path they're interested in. But like, if you feel like you've already got a decent handle on that stuff, it's just, When considering college, you need to have a pretty good idea of how stupid you are. Like, I'm pretty stupid, but I feel as though I've got a pretty decent handle on my lizard brain, and I feel like the critical thinking skills colleges teach me are things I already know. If you feel like you don't have a handle on your stupidity, then perhaps college can help you there. But if you feel like you already have, like, even a decent-ish idea on how to be a human, and you're going to college because of a very specific skill you want to learn that could also very easily be learned on the internet for free or for much cheaper than college would be giving it to you. Today's video is not sponsored by Skillshare, but I wish it was. Then it's like, maybe it's not worth putting yourself $50,000 in the hole. I don't know. I'm just making sure you're aware of the option. This is not just a thing that you do because it's what you do. This is a purchase that you are making, and you need to know whether or not it's something that is going to be worth it for you. It certainly wasn't worth it for me. I didn't need it to get to where I am right now. Okay, so the stereotype of the idiot who drops out of school to start a YouTube career exists for a reason, but like, you gotta remember that for an artist, your main hurdle to success isn't even your technical skill, it's your ability to sell yourself, and that is not something you will automatically gain from going to college. Sure, you can take some marketing courses, but it's still all just stuff you can learn for free online. You're gonna have to build your audience sooner or later, and if anything, going to college just makes it more likely that it'll be later. Finishing college wouldn't have suddenly given me 100,000 YouTube subscribers or a successful album launch or anything like that. I would have had to put in the work for this at some point. College could have maybe helped prepare me slightly better for it, but not $40,000 better. As it stands for me now, if I had stayed in college, I would have had a much harder time building my following, and I wouldn't have made the same progress I managed to make so far in that regard. Yeah, I'm still basically a nobody, but I do have an audience, and it's steadily growing. In one timeline, I'm learning things more efficiently in a rigid environment while accruing a mountain of student loan debt and gaining little to no traction in my social media endeavors. In this timeline, I'm having to scrounge up learning information on my own terms, but I'm mostly debt-free and already have a head start in gaining an audience. I was really unsure of myself when I left college, but I think I made the right choice. And when I made that decision to drop out, I felt horrible. I was crying, I felt like my life was falling apart. Every part of me was trying to tell me, no, this is wrong. This is not what you're supposed to do. You're a smart kid. Everyone wants you to go. You're supposed to mingle with all the cool smart kids and get your degree and use that as the point to start your life. What kind of honor student drops out of college? Everyone knows college dropouts are just lazy, right? But no matter which way I spun it, I just could not justify the debt. A little extra help with learning things I already knew how to learn was just not worth it. I wasn't dropping out of laziness. I was working hard. I made good grades. It all felt right to me. It felt like I belonged, but I just couldn't do it. Staying there was just an objectively terrible idea. And that saddened me because if I could afford it, I probably would have loved to continue going there. I loved the clean, scholarly environment. I loved all the experiences. I loved the variety in the things I'd get to check out later on that I was actually interested in. I was looking forward to the idea of learning how to actually socialize with people in real life, which I had pretty much never done since like the 3rd grade. But I just couldn't do it. The price drove me away, and as sad as that sounds, it would have been even sadder if I had actually stayed, like so many other people are doing, not knowing that they don't really have to. College is nice, and I hope this country's education system can pull itself together and actually give people the opportunity to experience it without economically ruining themselves.